Hey everyone, hopefully you have a fantastic day or night whenever you're watching or listening to this. So we are going to move on to session two, and if you missed the previous session, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to it. But we did, as a recap, talk about how we are going to have stressors in life. You know, whether that comes through work, whether that comes through just overall new situations, unexpected situations, is going to cause a stress response. Now, if we decide not to handle that stress in a good way, that's going to lead to behaviors that are not good for us and are not healthy for us. And then those behaviors are going to create further beliefs that, again, are not healthy for us. And I guess from there, let's move on into today's session so we can talk about this whole stress process.
Very good. Okay, now that we understand with more clarity, what is the process. Now let's try to see what we do when we are under a lot of stress or any level of chronic stress. Number one, we're going to see behavior. Okay, so if we're engaged in any behavior aligned with maladaptation, we have to recognize that we have a problem associated with stress that has not been solved. So this is like escape. We're running away from something. So, and when we do these behaviors, we feel relief, but unfortunately, we know that it's not the real thing. It's just a fake. It becomes worse and worse, and it becomes a bigger problem. So that will affect our life. So the behavior, the kind of behavior we have, is going to tell us, if we are on a maladaptation. So if we run to eat more when we are after a situation or an event, okay, or if we run to smoke a cigarette or maybe a drink, or maybe if we're engaging into a lot of entertainment. No. Now, when you talk about entertainment, basically it's when it's an addiction. Okay, I watch a movie and I need to watch a second and a third. I watch one episode and I don't have the control to say, okay, I enjoyed this. It was fun. I had a good laugh. Afterwards I talk to my friends or siblings about the movie, and then I move on to the next thing. So when there is a lack of control, so it's a clear sign that I'm just running, and I don't want to be confronting my moment of life. So, but anyways, going back, stress, it will affect your behavior. Okay, whatever it is, the kind of behavior we do, could be with substance or could be without substance. Could be eating, could be work. No, if I'm seeing myself working late, and there is some other things that are important that I'm not paying attention, so it's a sign that there is a chronic stress. Now the other part is my physical body. Okay, so it's going to be inflammation with stress, which can lead to overweight, or can lead to imbalance in hormone, or it could be immune problems. So whatever illness I have is associated to the condition of stress. And the third one, which is very interesting, and you mentioned this before in the previous session, I think. The third one is when we have a stress, we do exactly the opposite of what will help me to feel better. And this is crazy. So what do you think about that, Ulysses?
I
Whatever is
mean,
going to help to relieve the pain and solve the problem, we turn our back to that.
it's interesting because logically speaking, like just thinking of it logically, it makes sense. Oh, you should do what's going to actually relieve it. But I think many of us have developed, I guess, a habit of trying to, I guess, look for a quick relief, more of a quick, whatever's going to reduce it, what we think quickly, whether that's, smoking a cigarette, whether that's, like you mentioned, looking at pornography, eating, overeating. I think we've gotten, as a society, gotten into trying to find that quick solution.
Yeah, and across all the different uh, situations that are stressful, research have found over and over that individuals actually turn their back, and even on the little things, not on major events. For example, if somebody is let's say is an addicted player, a poker or any
Mm-hmm.
kind of these things to there are little things that they could do, tiny things that can help them, and they don't do it. Okay, and even though they know intellectually that will help them, and so is with pornography, so it is with any kind of uh, behavior. So, and we'll see that normally by stress, let's say if I have an issue, a conflict with my spouse, okay, and this conflict is producing pain, and I know that all I have to do is just talk to her, and I know that's gonna relieve the pain. It's gonna relieve the anxiety. Okay, and we don't do it. So we prefer not to talk. It's and we're gonna talk about that in other episodes on this stress. But just want to describe that this is some of the patterns. Okay, physical problems have some kind of nature. Could it be small or big? Related to weight or hormonal issues or immune problems, sleep problems, which is related to physical issues. Uh, the other thing, it has to do with our behaviors, the way how we act and do the things we do as addictive. And the third part is turning my back to what really is going to help me. And actually leading myself to what is going to create more suffering. Okay, so I go to what it really is going to hurt the most. Maybe say the wrong thing to my spouse when I know it's going to hurt and it makes it worse for me. Instead of talking to her, I know that if it's better to talk to my boss about the problem and I don't go and talk. Okay, it's better to speak about my emotions and I don't. I just blame somebody by my emotions. So those are things that we have to really understand. Now, and as a part of this episode, now, in regard to the process of stress, there are some factors now that are associated with this. When we already are maladaptive to these situations, we create beliefs, different beliefs that make it even worse, our life. One is the belief that we don't have resources. See, I can't do it. No. Let's say if I have that I don't have internal resources, and also the belief that there is no external resources. Okay. I don't have a friend. There's nobody I can talk about this. Okay. Or I don't know how to deal with this. So this is the dangers of this maladaptation. It produces that. So if I don't feel I have the resources, or I don't think there are resources outside me, it complicates things. And it makes this triangle of behavior, detrimental thoughts, feelings that are worse. It goes like a cycle. So rumination takes place, a lot of these internal dialogues that it makes even worse. And the biology of the body continues with inflammation. We become less intelligent, okay, because this high level of cortisol affect the connection between different regions of the brain. So our ability to see with clarity, it's really difficult. And there is difficult to discern, what really is going on in the external world, because we're going to reflect only the things that we are ruminating. And we end up with some kind of paradigms that are detrimental. So that's the other part is the problem. Or say what is going to determine is danger or not danger. Is important, not important. So we can make just a little challenge. We can make it like it's danger. Little things. So and the more with years and years, the more that we live this way, the more difficult it is to cope with situations that are even smaller. That's why some people later on in their life, when they have little stress, they can explode from little things, or they don't know how to handle something that they know how to do it years previous. No, a problem in traffic, or a problem with the bank, or some mistake that somebody makes. Years early they know how to handle. 5, 10, 20 years later, it has become like a danger. It's like we create these ideas, okay, that this thing is so dangerous. And remember that when the brain thinks it's so dangerous, okay, it is no abilities to deal with it. When it's danger, it's focus, narrow focus only on trying to protect ourselves. So we can feel that we're victim. We walk away from everything and we don't even approach the issue. We create bigger fears at that when it's really something manageable. So, and that's why if we notice, there are people that are exposed to the same events, and some people are okay, no, and some other people end up in the hospital, or end up, with the anxiety, or end up with a lot of stress, and they cannot sleep well. Other people go to sleep well. Oh, somebody says something about future of the company I work for. Some people sleep very well. Some, start really feeling the anxiety, and this is because this didn't happen because they told me that they're going to close the company. This is because I have a maladaptation to previous events, and now I can magnify. And the third part is, what do I know about stress? Okay, if I think it's bad, of course, it's I'm not gonna learn anything from this experience. So, stress is for learning, is to grow, is to remove ourselves from the same bad habits that we have. So this body will actually bring up some of these memories from previous experiences, and the stress mechanism will trigger. So, which will lead us to an opportunity to change. But of course, we need to know how to do this. And this is how we end these episodes. And we'll continue on the next episode from stress and the process of stress. Ulysses, your comments.
Yeah, just last comment is, it's interesting how sometimes, you talked about beliefs, right? And I think one belief that perhaps we all need to be better at is that, you talked about how we sometimes have a bad view of stress, how stress is bad. And I think at the same time, there are many people who consider challenges to be a bad thing. Like somehow if work isn't going the way I want it to be, my business is not flourishing how it should, or how it should be, my marriage is hard, whatever the case may be, there is sometimes that belief, that perspective of, oh, this is not the way life should be. And then that creates that stress instead of seeing that as an opportunity for growth, as you were talking about.
And Ulysses, on the next episode, we're gonna talk about the difference between our perspective on these experiences as a challenge or as a threat to the future. And then that is something that we need to understand, because there's physiological changes. At the moment that I see this as an opportunity, even though it's uncomfortable, when the stress comes, it's not like a walk in the park. I mean, we all feel, the agitation that comes with the stress. But people that understand this physiological experience is transient. They know it's a challenge and they look for the opportunity for growth. Other people feel this is going to affect my life, it's going to affect everything that I plan, and it's because it's related to beliefs that we have from the past. All this maladaptation, it comes to the surface. It emerges at once, and then we react the way we react. And we're going to learn on the difference between one and another, and why it limited our abilities to really solve problems and increase the conflict and make it big. And we end up in the places we never really planned or dreamed when we were kids. We end up suffering.